It is something you've likely seen in the movies.
Yeah, but it's also happening in real life. People are getting chips implanted in their hands and other places. Some people in the Twin Cities are embracing the extra personal technology that is turning them into human remote controls.
I can carry nearly 80 gigs of data in my head. 160 if I use a doubler. A computer.
Where'd you want to do that?
Set in the far-off year of 2021, this is the 1995 film, Johnny Mnemonic.
I need a Sinologic 60.
Password and
One of several films that caught the attention of a boy growing up in Richfield.
There are so many limitations and conditions that we have as people that we can overcome if we put a little energy into it and a little technology.
The chip in his wrist clears his daily path.
So that unlocks my door.
Operates his computer and phone.
And it turned off my ringer.
And if he has his way, it will do much more.
To be able to deal with the complexity of the world that involves so many different dynamic elements that it's hard to describe in sentences. If the world of 1916 was complex, or the world of 1945 was complex, the world of 2016 is intensely complex. And I can tell you that from personal experience, and I know there's many others who can tell you that as well. And you will graduate and be in that world, and you're going to be leading the soldiers and the sailors, the airmen and the Marines in that world. You'll be dealing with terrorists. You'll be dealing with hybrid armies. You'll be dealing with little green men.
The flames once again lit up the night, appearing to dance on the shores of a nearby lake. The blaze has been driven by wicked winds, pushing and pulling the heat in all directions.
Late last night, this fire proved just how unpredictable it can be, heading south and north, devouring everything in its path, crossing this road, and just burning up this forest.
To Canada now, where wildfire ripping through Canada's oil sands region in Alberta province has doubled in size. And authorities there are warning it is now out of control.
This is insane. Holy. Oh, you can feel the heat. Holy shit. This is crazy.
These are Canada's oil fields. Walls of flames that have swept across this huge area all week are still raging and destroying everything in their path.
With this blaze exploding in size all across the area, new fires are being sparked across the horizon. They say this blaze could double in size by tomorrow.
Some 88,000 residents fled for their lives, many of them to evacuation centers to the south.
Firefighters continue to battle a raging wildfire in Canada that's nearly a week old. The 240,000-acre blaze has destroyed thousands of homes.
Spike in earthquake activity has scientists paying close attention to Mount St. Helens.
Moran and his team of scientists say they've noticed an uptick in earthquake swarms happening beneath the volcano. It's now up to nearly 40 small earthquakes per week.
We've seen a couple of signs and symptoms since then that have indicated to us that small amounts of magma have been coming in.
Thanks for watching. Now, we've been looking into the concerns surrounding that large fault or crack that's in the ground that recently opened up near and behind that shopping center.
Well, Carolyn, if you take a look at the large crack in the ground behind me, you can see that a series of power lines actually runs along the base of the mountain here. So depending on how the ground shifts, we could have an even bigger problem here. The officer told us he heard the crack grows further apart by 2 inches every day.
Would cause a mass fish kill in a lake in Haikou City in South China's Hainan province.
The Pacific beaches of Chile look more like graveyards these days as piles of dead marine animals have washed ashore in recent months. It's being blamed on this year's El Nino, a weather phenomenon so powerful the U.S. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration called it El Nino Godzilla. El Nino causes warmer sea surface temperatures, which can lead to more algae, which consumes the oxygen in the water. Officials say a surge in algae earlier this year, known as a red tide, choked about 40,000 tons of salmon to death in the Los Lagos region.
Columbia County now, it's a stench that can be smelled blocks away. Hundreds of dead fish washed ashore at Lake DeSoto in Lake City. People who use the lake are shocked and want to know what's killing the fish. We got phone calls, emails, and people sent photos of what was happening.
Yeah, it's just a lack of oxygen. I tried to tell some people that around here, but they said that they're just not buying that. But that's what FWC, Florida Fish and Wildlife, says caused at least 200 fish to float to the top and even come ashore, creating a stench that you just couldn't ignore.
You could smell the rancid toxins of dead fish going back all the way to Madison Street.
It smelled like somebody just opened up a can of tuna in the middle of the lake, and like a huge can of tuna. It was really bad.
Cal Green is one of the people who called News4Jax and sent these pictures showing dead fish on the shore of Lake DeSoto. It's a place enjoyed by families.
In Lake City, it's such a small area, there's not a lot of things for families to do. So when something like this happens in the community to something everybody enjoys going to, it's really shocking.
More than 500 white bass have been found dead or dying at Lake Thunderbird. They're washing up on the southern shore of the lake. Fishermen actually first spotting the problem, a problem that appears to be all natural.
Peacetime in Syria. This is what Russia, America and the UN calls a cessation of hostilities. Tell that to the children of Aleppo. This was the view from the streets of Syria's largest city. 2 months after a loose peace deal was signed, it appears to have all but collapsed. One of the city's last remaining hospitals was attacked. More than 24 people were killed here. Doctors, nurses, patients, and residents nearby. In the last 48 hours, one Syrian has been killed every 25 minutes. Government forces and their allies are accused of repeatedly breaching the ceasefire. Rebel fighters have also been charged. Aleppo City has been the hardest hit.
Today, the Syrian government launched more airstrikes on rebel-controlled neighborhoods in Aleppo. The Assad regime has been pounding Aleppo for the past 9 days, killing nearly 250 civilians.
But the truce doesn't apply to Aleppo, where so much of the fighting is taking place as the Syrian regime, backed by Russia and Iran, tries to recapture all of the city. A ceasefire agreed 2 months ago has now broken down, and this past week we've seen disturbing internet video coming out of Aleppo as residential neighborhoods in the rebel-controlled parts of the city have been pummeled. On Thursday, one of the few remaining hospitals in rebel-controlled Aleppo was destroyed by an airstrike. Doctors Without Borders, the international aid group that supported the hospital, said that it was targeted by a direct hit and that 50 people were killed. The International Committee of the Red Cross said that 4 more medical facilities, including a cardiac hospital, were attacked on Friday in both rebel and regime-controlled areas. And Jim, the group has called for an end to the indiscriminate violence.
Yeah, that's right, Jeff. Right now, scientists from all over the world are here in Long Beach for the National Earthquake Convention. And today they made a serious announcement that could affect all of Southern California.
Southern California is long overdue for the big one, but scientists say we're locked, loaded, and ready to roll.
The last major quake to strike the southern Andreas was in 1857. That was a magnitude 7.9, so not too far off from the 8.0 that they're predicting. But obviously things have been very quiet since then, which is why scientists say they're so concerned. Jeff and Elsa.